Oh, look at that. Look at that. We're putting 45 watts into the freaking Steam Deck right now, and we're charging this MacBook Pro 14-inch at 100 watts. Oh, what's going on, YouTube? This is What Would Josh Do, and this is a super exciting video. UGREEN reached out to me, and they wanted me to check out their power bank, and I'm new to UGREEN. In fact, the only thing I had UGREEN before recently was these little UGREEN stands for like tablets and phones and stuff. And then recently they wanted me to check out their 160 watt charger here, and I did. I made a video of it. You can check it out if you want to. We're going to be using this to charge this thing. All right, let's open this thing up. Oh, they sent me a couple different things, huh? Looks like they actually sent me the 100 watt version of this thing. That's pretty cool. Now, in my recommendation, should you get the 100 or the 160, I'm always going to say the 160 because it's going to future-proof yourself. If you have a laptop that charges at over 100 watts, such as a MacBook Pro 16-inch, you're going to want to get this guy so you can utilize the full charging speeds possible. Say you have two devices that are going to use 100 watts each. This can't do 200 watts. But it can share that and have 80 per device. This only has 100, so it's going to be 50 per device. My recommendation is always going to be get the 160 over the 100. So let's go ahead and open that thing up just to compare the two real quick. And since this thing only charges at 100 watts, I believe, we will use this guy to charge up that. And that's also another reason, right? So with this guy, I could charge this thing at 100 watts and then have something else charging at 60 watts. Or my phone charging at its full speed of 30 watts. If you charge this thing at 100 watts, you're utilizing 100% of this charger. With this one, it's still got more to go, meaning it's not pushing it as hard the whole time. All right, nothing else in there. So they are identical in how they look and their size. But we are going to be using this one to charge up the power bank. All right, on to the main star of the show, the 145 watt power bank. This is super exciting because if you have a MacBook Pro 16-inch, you can charge it at 140 watts using this thing. It says 140 watt single port fast charging. It also has trickle charging, so if you use a smartwatch or earbuds, it'll charge them at their appropriate speed. There are some safety listings on the side here. There's some additional information on the back, such as 140 watt to a single device, 65 watts of input. Okay, so yeah, that's wow, it's a lot slower than I thought it was going to be. Smart LED display for remaining battery. So it looks like the input can do up to 20 volts at 3.25 amps, which, yes, that is 65 watts. Looks like the output can do 28 volts at 5 amps. That's a lot of power. It is a 90 watt hour battery. Let's go ahead and check it out. It's got a little pull tab here to open it up without a knife, which is nice. If I could, that is very strong. Now we're going to go ahead and, wow, that is a unit. That is heavy. Please don't let me forget to weigh this thing because I always forget. All right, so 504 grams looks like it's the weight, which puts it at 17.8 ounces. We got a nice little carrying case, which is pretty cool because, you know, as you use this power bank and you throw it around in backpacks and whatever you're carrying it in, it's going to get a little bit scratched up and the numbers are going to be hard to read on it. And as far as like the information on the back and the model number and stuff, this thing's going to make sure that that doesn't happen. We do have a UGREEN cable here. We'll have to see what it's capable of. Looks like it's a short little guy, a little bit longer than 1 foot, or maybe right. Nope, that's a tiny bit longer than 1 foot, I believe. We have instruction booklet, and then we have the, yeah, more instructions. So let's dig in. Let's friggin', I'm excited about this because I have an ROG Ally X pre-ordered and it charges at 100 watts. And I mean, I have a collection of power banks now and I have a few options for 100 watts, but not a whole lot. So I was super excited about this because my ROG Ally X is going to be able to charge at 100 watts, which is kind of crazy. So we have more than power. It's a button. It says I have 40% battery. On here we have out 2, out 1, well, in and out 1. And then out 3, so we can use that USB-A port to charge up something. And then we have a whole bunch of information here on the side. It's basically just all the other data you've seen in other places, as well as the safety listings. It's got a nice kind of like rubber. Oh, it doesn't slide. It does not slide. That is cool. This isn't like that. That'll slide nice and easy. This, not so much. It doesn't want to go forward. Let's provide some resistance. Then we have here 25,000. So that's a very nice number there. A lot of my power banks are just 20,000. So that extra 5,000 is absolutely fantastic. All right, so the first thing I want to do is plug this thing up, and we'll use that new charger that they sent me. But basically, we're going to plug up the charger to the wall outlet. You can see the power that it's drawing from the wall. We're going to use that included USB-C cable, plug it into the first port, which is going to be the best port to use. And then we're going to plug in a meter. Let's use that in and out port there. So we're going to see if it has pass-through. We're going to do quite a bit, so this might get a little bit long. All right, so plugging it in. All right, so the cable that they provide in the box is a 100 watt cable. That's awesome. And then here you can see that the power bank is recharging at 65 watts. Now 65 watts definitely is not slow, but I do have a couple power banks that are capable of charging at 140 watts and a couple that are capable of charging at 100 watts. So 65 watts of input is a little bit disappointing, but if you look at it in a positive light, 65 watts of input is going to be easier on a battery than 100 or doubling this number and putting 140 into it. And when possible, I try not to put 140 watts into my power bank unless I need it like instantly. So I usually just use a 100 watt cable or the charging base for the other one that charges at 100 watts. And then on the side, the little light is flashing there. The second one is the number 2. So the 4 is staying solid and the 2 is flashing. So it is indicating that it's currently charging. Pressing this button kind of like resets it, I think. All right, now the big question is, can it do output and input at the same time? Can it do pass-through? So we've got our Steam Deck going here. Let's plug it up. We'll utilize that second USB-C port. And yeah. So that's a huge advantage over any of the other power banks. So this guy is currently charging at 65 watts while it's putting 45 watts into my Steam Deck right now. And if you look at the wall outlet here, we're drawing 72.5 watts from the wall. So that's actually impressive. 65 watts going in and 45 watts going out at the same time. And then what if we just kill power to the wall outlet? It just continues to keep going off of the battery that's in here, what's left. So then, what if we turn the power back on? What? It didn't change. What? Hold on. It has a thing that knows if it's tilted. It didn't even, what? Let's try that again. Cut power. So, no change. And then turn power back on. Oh my word. Okay. So there doesn't appear to be any interruption in the charging. Well, that's a freaking win. I will take that. All right, I had to change some things around because I want access to that third port. But let's go ahead and plug it in. Okay, so then it renegotiated when I plugged in the USB-A. Okay, so now my phone is activated and, well, I mean, activated, it's currently charging. It's a very low power. So if you try to charge this thing, which it's doing so very well, but if you try to also output through the USB-C port and the USB-A port, it's not going to do as well as if you just outputted directly from the USB-C port and you left that USB-A port alone. So we'll unplug the USB-A. Well, alrighty then. So plugging in that in and out one to the Steam Deck, and we're charging it at 45 watts just fine. If we connect the USB-C port, and then we connect the USB-A port, okay, so just renegotiated. It went back to 45 watts. I will plug in a power bank. Okay, so it's just really slow. So this is getting the 45 watts. This is getting 8 watts. All right, and then, so for the last test, we're charging Steam Deck at 45 watts. We're charging the power bank at 8 watts. All right, now I plugged in my laptop. Let's see what happens to the laptop. All right, so the laptop is charging at a slow speed, so 16 watts. Okay, so I just realized that the most powerful port needs to be connected to the laptop, obviously. The question is that second port any good? All right, now we're talking. The laptop was at 90 watts there. 86, 90, 88, 95, 100. 100 watts of power. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We're putting 45 watts into the freaking Steam Deck right now, And we're charging this MacBook Pro 14-inch at 100 watts. We are really pushing this power bank now. Oh my gosh, I almost did it again. I almost forgot to weigh this thing. All right, let's turn on the scale. We're at 0 grams. All right, so 504 grams looks like it's the weight, which puts it at 17.8 ounces. So that is definitely on the heavier side, but it's not unreasonable. It's just a heavy power bank. But I'm gonna let it recharge to full, and I might make a time lapse later showing the time of when I start charging from 0% to when it finishes at 100, and put that in the description. I'll pin that comment so it'll be the first comment you see, and I'll also put it in the description below. As of right now, this adds to my collection of power banks that can do 100 watts and above, which is very few. So I am super excited. I would have loved to have seen 100 watts of input, but the fact that you can do 65 watts of input and 45 watts of output, that's freaking awesome. And yeah, taking a look at that USB-C 2 output, it can do up to 20 volts at 3.25 amps, which is 65 watts. So it should be able to do turbo mode on your ROG Ally while recharging the battery on this thing at 65 watts. All right, this thing's awesome. I love the design of it. I love it. It matches the freaking wall adapter. Look at that. They include a 100 watt cable. It's got a rubber kind of like grip to the bottom of it, so it'll prevent it from sliding around on slick surfaces. This thing is actually a powerhouse. It charged my laptop at 100 watts while charging my Steam Deck at 45 watts. The only downside to this power bank is the 65 watt input, and the fact that it's 25,000 mAh instead of 20,000 like most are. That is a huge win. This is one of my top tier power banks right now, with really only one negative, so I'll have a link to this in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram. This is What Would Josh Do, and I'm out.